Also, we are live on Dr. Abdul Ali Muhammad's channel on YouTube. So you can catch us both on both platforms. We will begin this afternoon's live broadcast. We will begin with prayer. Following prayer, we will turn the program over to Dr. Alim, and he will give us this afternoon's presentation. So, attention, prayer. In the name of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. I mean.
Ameen. So welcome. This is the Your Immunity Project. It's 3 p.m. or a little after by now. So I apologize for the lateness. We try to start properly at 3 p.m. But as you saw, some of you in the live audience, we're having some technical difficulties, as we usually do with Facebook. And so they interfere with what we're trying to do. So welcome. You didn't make a mistake. You're in the right place. Anytime you hear that 24 karat gold voice, you know that's Sister Cheryl opening up the Your Immunity Project with our prayer. And of course, we're joined also by Sister Connie on Facebook. Now, we're not live on YouTube today. That was something that I was doing as an experiment, and I found out that the production quality, trying to do it that way, it isn't what it should be. So I'm trying a different way right now. I'm recording it as a video for YouTube that will be uploaded on my channel on YouTube a little bit later. I think in order to get a really high quality live stream on YouTube, I would need an assistant. I can't be the technical assistant and the cameraman and do the presentation all at the same time. So it will be uploaded later on my Dr. Alim on YouTube, but it will also be rebroadcast at 7 p.m. on Zoom and Facebook. So welcome once again. This is the Your Immunity Project, also known as the Survival Show. And today we're talking about survival because the issues of survival have suddenly gotten very, very, very real. Very, very real on every level of society. And that includes the level of society that you're on. So let's get started with our program. We always begin, maybe we forgot last week, but we usually always begin with our 5 principles. And those 5 principles are prevention, diagnosis, treatment, research, and education. Now we're on education right now. We're on the 5th principle right now. That's what the Your Immunity Project show is all about. We try to be as educational, as informative as possible. We don't want to waste your time. We sift through, on any given week, I might look at 100 to 200 articles, and then I pick out the ones that seem to be the most relevant, that are showing the trends. You want to know what trends are. What are the trends? Trends predict the future. If you see the direction that things are headed, you know where it's going to be at a future date. And so we try to give the trends because that helps us to predict future events. And then that takes us back to our first principle, which is prevention. Prevention is no good if you can't predict the future. How can you prevent something that you don't know is coming? So you have to be able to look ahead. You have to have foresight. Then that gives you the ability to put into practice the principle of prevention. And if something is on the way that you don't like, hey, what can I do in the here and now to prevent something bad from happening to me in the future? So that's what we try to do with the Your Immunity Project every week. We try to point out the trends, which is to say, to point out future events. What's getting ready to happen next? Now, in general, the Your Immunity Project over the years has stayed about 19 months ahead. Yeah, we generally stay about 19 months ahead of current headlines. So sometimes when we show you current headlines, what's in the news today, we're actually looking at things that we actually talked about 19 months ago. And if you were paying attention 19 months ago, hey, you're not surprised by what you're seeing today because we already talked about it. We already predicted it. And then we're just showing you the verification that it actually came true. It actually came true. So prevention is number one. It's number one because it's the most important. If you can get prevention right, then maybe the other four principles don't count so much. But suppose something does go wrong, or it already has gone wrong. Okay, then number two is diagnosis. If something has gone wrong, you need to know what it is. Not just a complaint, something, I hurt. Yeah, it hurt. But why do you hurt? Why do you have a fever? Why can't you stop coughing? Those are just symptoms. And so you need an accurate diagnosis, and that's the hardest part, to get a true diagnosis. Because if you can't get a true diagnosis, then you can't get true treatment. Misdiagnosis leads to mistreatment. So that's been the great difficulty for most people for the last 5 years in this era of COVID. Where are you going to get an accurate diagnosis for what's wrong with you? You go to a doctor's office or to a clinic or a hospital, nine times out of a 10, no matter what's wrong with you, they're going to tell you you have COVID. No matter what's wrong with you. People have gone into an emergency room with a gunshot wound, and they came out with a diagnosis of COVID. So in other words, this was deliberate misdiagnosis of millions and billions of people really over the planet. The misuse of the PCR test that was never used or never was designed to be used as a tool for clinical diagnosis. It's a research tool. It's a research tool. It's used in laboratories, not in the clinic. You don't diagnose a disease with the PCR test, but that's what they did for billions of people. So billions of people around the world got a misdiagnosis of COVID-19, and then that led them automatically to a mistreatment. That's the third principle, treatment. If you have a good diagnosis, it leads to good treatment. If you have a misdiagnosis, hey, that's mistreatment. So billions of people, maybe even including you have suffered from a misdiagnosis that led to mistreatment. And that's why you're in the condition that you're in. So now my effort to correct that is to create a website that serves on a virtual platform, gives the ability to make a diagnosis. And we do that in various ways, and also to deliver proper treatment that's based on nutrition. So that was the whole idea behind draleem.com. And we'll talk some more about that later on in the broadcast. To give people a platform where you can go and get an accurate diagnosis that you can rely on, that's not fraudulent, that also leads to proper treatment, that is not based on prescription drugs or any harmful substance, but almost completely either based on nutrition or herbs. So that was the main idea with draleem.com. Now, of course, it's easy to think of things, but it's hard to make them work. So we haven't been able to quite make that work like we want to, and we're going to move into a new phase, because what it turns out to be is that the website that I currently have, that I wanted to convert into this virtual platform that I'm talking about right now, just can't do it. Just can't do it. So we're getting together a group of investors, and we're going to invest in a customized website along with a mobile app that will have all the bells and whistles, all of the high-tech stuff, because my website, the way it is right now, it just can't handle what I'm trying to do. So please excuse the delay. Things are always more difficult than they seem at first, but please be patient because we're working on it day and night trying to get it right. And so look for a new beginning. And of course, our fourth principle is research. And that's one function of the website. We can actually do research on the website. And our current research project is a stress survey. People are under tremendous stress. Look at your grocery bill. Look at your utility bill. Look at the things that are taking place in the country and out of the country that are affecting your life, affecting your quality of life, affecting your health even. And so that creates a tremendous amount of stress. And stress is harmful to the health. And you're hearing about people dropping dead every day, having strokes, heart attacks. Stress is one of the factors that produces that. So don't you need to know your stress score? So the website will provide you with that. Just answer the 10 easy questions for the stress survey. Follow the instructions. Compute your score. A high score would be 40. So you getting ready to have a stroke or a heart attack. And of course, the lowest score would be 0. And almost nobody's going to score 0. But if you're somewhere in the middle, in the moderate range, then you're probably going to be good. All other things being equal. What's our fifth principle? It's education. That's what you're on right now. These programs are educational. And then we also have the 19th element on Wednesdays. The 19th element is more geopolitical. We deal with economic issues, political issues, global issues, war and peace issues, strategic issues, the stories behind the headline news. We try to delve deeply from a historical point of view, a cultural point of view, to really get you up to speed as to what's taking place in this world in which we live. We're not isolated from the world, so we need to know what they're talking about in China, in Russia, in Argentina, in Venezuela, in Mexico, all over the world. What is going on in Africa, in Burkina Faso, in Egypt, in Sudan. And so we deal with all of it on the 19th element. So be sure to catch that every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on Zoom and Facebook, and presumably also going to be on YouTube as well. So those are our 5 principles. So let's go to our headlines. The way we do this, in case you're new, I try to put up headlines and images. It helps the communication. I learned to do this in medical school. All the professors, they all came armed with slides, big pictures on the big screen while they're talking. It helps reinforce the information, you know. So let's bring up our images. Now, the first few of them are standard. We use them every week just to remind you of some important things. Of course, this is our logo, Plan on Survival. That's our motto. And plan is a verb and a noun. If it's a verb, it means you should be doing something. Plan is a verb. It's an action word. What are you doing today to ensure your survival and the survival of your family? What are you doing? Anything? Well, if you're not doing anything, then you're not planning on survival, and you probably won't. If you're not doing anything, it's because you haven't written down a plan. How can you work a plan if you haven't got a plan? You know? Also, so write down your plan, figure out what you need in order to live. Food, clothing, shelter, security, you know, healthcare, education, all those things that go to your and my survival. You have to actually have a plan of how you're going to keep on surviving. Because if any one of those survival needs are missing, then you won't survive. So suppose you plan for everything else except how you're going to have clean water to drink. Well, then you're going to die from dirty water because you didn't plan for that part. So you have to plan for everything that has to do with your survival. And you write it down on paper in a notebook so it won't be destroyed when the grid goes down. And then you put into action a part of that plan each and every day. Because you never know when the ultimate day, the ultimate rainy day, the day of catastrophe, the culmination of all negative events takes place. So you want to be ready every day. You want to be active every day. You want to be thinking survival issues every day. That should be your main focus, especially now when you see this time of trouble that is upon us. So the emphasis is on your immunity projects. Maybe I should put an S behind that word project. Your immunity projects. What are your projects? For food, clothing, shelter, warmth, security, you know, education, all the things that are necessary for your survival. You got to have a project in motion in order to handle that. Otherwise, you're gambling with life and death. Your immunity is your right to life guaranteed. So get busy. Next image, please. It's late in the day. The nuclear scientists say we're like, 87 seconds from midnight, nuclear holocaust? So now this is part of what I'm trying to do in terms of my survival. Part of survival is communication. If you're out of communication with other people, then your survival chances are slim. So you have to think about it. How would you stay in communication with people if the grid goes down, if your cell phone doesn't work, if they cut off your electricity? See, how would you communicate with people? How would you stay in touch with relatives, with friends, with co-workers? You see, so one solution is we're building a radio network. And ultimately, we want it to be a global radio network so we can communicate with the entire world. We have a story to tell. The world has a story to tell. So we need to be connected by communication networks. So the idea is Cal Foundry Radio Network becomes the Ministry of Communication on a global scale. I mean, I really do want to have a satellite. Don't you want to have a satellite? So you can communicate with the world. Africa got satellites. Asia has satellites. All nations have satellites. How come we don't have a satellite? So if we had a satellite, we could really make that come true. High altitude, news, views with an attitude. Because nobody has an attitude like the black man in America. We got the attitude of attitudes. And we need to share it with the world because of our unique experience as a people. So now these are the programs that are running right now on the Cal Foundry Radio Network. We have 2 programs with prayer and fasting. Now prayer and fasting is 7 days a week. But I'm saying when I'm a part of the programming, that's on Sundays and Mondays. The Hereafter Question and Answers on Mondays. That follows the program on Sundays. And then we have the Plan of Survival, the Your Immunity Project happening right now on Tuesdays. And then, of course, on Wednesdays, we have the 19th Element that I already mentioned. So maybe you have a show. Maybe you have a podcast. Maybe you are a content producer. And maybe you need to be affiliated with Cal Foundry Radio Network to increase your audience and to share your audience with others. And then we can make it into a commercial network that gets our message across to the entire world. Next image, please. So a lot of big ideas. See, these are big ideas. This is a vision of the promised land. This what happens after America falls. A whole lot of people see the fall of America taking place. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us about that decades ago. And now even a fool knows that America is falling. Europe is falling. NATO is defeated. You know, all of the Western powers that used to hold sway in the world, hey, they've all been diminished. And they're falling apart. So what's going to replace it? I mean, even a flea knows how to jump off of a dead dog. You know, the dog gets sick. Hey, that flea got sense enough. Let's find a new dog. This dog is sick. This dog get ready to pass away. So let's jump off onto a new dog before this dog passes away so we can continue to have some fresh blood. See, even a flea knows that. So what are we going to do when this dog dies? You see, that we've been feeding off of. That's been supporting us, taking care of us, providing for our needs. What happens when America can't provide for our own needs, as is the case right now? You see, then you have to have something to replace it. And so my vision is what I call Islamerica. And it's based on the 9 ministries that was presented by the minister some years ago. Now, they haven't been developed, that's for sure. But that's my idea. You see, when I talk about my website, draleem.com, well, I can't really call that the Ministry of Health and Human Services, can I? I can't even call that a virtual hospital. It's not that good, okay? But at least it's a toehold. It's a start. Now, what's the date today? The date is the 2nd of September. Do you know that it was on the 2nd day of September in 1986 that I launched the Abundant Life Clinic? Yeah, the Abundant Life Clinic was incorporated in August of 1986, and it was launched in September. Why do I remember the date so well? Because on September the 3rd is when Minister Farrakhan came to Washington, D.C. and brought me out of Class F. Some people had put me in Class F. And while I was in Class F, I started the clinic. And so once I was out of Class F and back on my post on September the 3rd, hey, that's when we launched the Abundant Life Clinic. And so I find myself in the same situation all these years later. I'm trying to launch a virtual platform, draleem.com. You see, and I feel like I'm in the same position where in 1986, how many patients did I have? None. What kind of office did I have? None. What kind of equipment did I have? None. You know what I had? I had a folding table, a folding chair, and a telephone, a white coat, and a stethoscope. That was the start of Abundant Life Clinic. And then, of course, we went on from there to do all kinds of amazing things. But it started real small. Just like draleem.com, started real small, almost invisible, almost can't find it, almost can't get no benefit from it. Okay, but even though we're small today, inshallah, and by the grace and power of Allah, we'll be big one day, and we'll be able to fulfill nearly all of your needs that can be fulfilled on a virtual platform until we can get something on the ground made out of brick and mortar where everything can be done. And so that's my dream, that's my vision. And if you share that vision, then let's pitch in together and help one another to achieve it. And you might have a project that's different than mine. See, I'm asking people to help invest in the website to get it off the ground, and people have stepped forward. They've stepped forward. See, we got some investors lined up, so it's going to happen. It just takes more time. It's taking more time than I thought it would, but it's going to happen. But maybe you have a project and you need investors. You need somebody to support what you're trying to do. Okay, so we can build it around the framework of the 9 ministries. You know where you fit in. You know what ministry would fit with what you're talking about or thinking about. And we need more than healthcare, don't we? We need everything. That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told me when I asked him if it was okay to go to medical school. He said, brother, we need everything in the building of a nation. You know what you are qualified to do. May Allah bless you with success. And as they say, the rest is history. So you know what you're qualified to do. May Allah bless you with success. But let's have success together in an organized fashion. Next image, please. So the people perish for a lack of vision, or maybe they have the wrong vision. So there it is, Kalfani Independent Free Speech Radio. Next image, please. A work in progress. You can be a part of the work. Got to update this. That's the website. Now it might change because we're going to a whole new platform because we found out that decrepit website I had before, you can't make it do what you want it to do. So we just got to make a fresh start, a fresh break, and that's what we're going to do. But you can find me and follow me on Telegram. They kicked me off of all of the other social media. I used to be on X. I used to be on Facebook. I used to be on Instagram. Never did get on TikTok, but I am on Telegram. So every day I put up posts, so follow me on there. And then, of course, the Your Immunity Project, the 19th Element, and prayer and fasting rounds it out. Keeps me busy all week long. Next image, please. There it is, 19th Element. And that's what time it is. We're 87 seconds from this. So now what can we do to prevent that? Or if we can't prevent it, what can you do to survive that? So tomorrow night, we're going to continue. Our major theme is a world at war, a world gone crazy. Next image, please. And you and I stuck smack dab in the middle. Now, this is a part of my survival plan. I check the air quality every day to find out whether it's safe to even go outside. Well, obviously, on a day like this, it wouldn't be safe to be outside. People wondering why they're sick. You're sick because you're ignoring what's right over your head. They're spraying all kinds of biological, chemical, and radiological weapons at you. Why are you ignoring it? Stuck in those cell phone. Can't even look up from your cell phone to see what's over your head. No wonder you're sick. No wonder you're going to be dead soon. Because you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention to life. Next image, please. Or the enemies to life. See, this is actually your biggest enemy. The vaccinated people in your environment, in your workplace, in your classroom. Where you worship at, where you go seeking entertainment, at the ball stadium, at the movie theater, where crowds of people, 3/4 of American citizens are vaccinated. They're breathing out death. Nanoelectronics, lipid nanoparticles, the COVID-19 agent, all of that's in their breath. You're in the same room with them. You're in the same house with them. You're in the same work cubicle with them, breathing in death and wondering why you're sick. I didn't get the shot. Yes, you did. You breathed it in. It's a self-spreading technology. You don't have to get a shot in your arm. All you have to do is take a deep breath from a vaccinated person and you just got vaccinated. So be wise, beware. Next image, please. Don't be foolish just because you can't see it. Wise people believe in the unseen. Ignorant people say seeing is believing. So are you ignorant or wise? So now again, this was a different day. The sky looked completely different, but the danger was still there. There's no ceasefire in America. The Pentagon, DARPA, They're waging war against you. This is the depopulation agenda, and you are the intended victim. And you will be the victim if you're not paying attention. What are you doing to defend yourself? If you're not doing anything to defend yourself, then they're going to get you. Like they've gotten so many others that you already know. Look at all the people that you know that died. How many funerals have you been to this year, last year? And the frequency of funerals mounting all the time because people are dropping like flies. When are you going to wake up and do something to save yourself before it's too late? Next image, please. So I wouldn't go outside on a day like this, and this day is even worse. So you might say, oh, it's a clear blue sky. What about that chemtrail? It's a -11. That'll kill you. You go for a jog or a bicycle ride. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go about my daily activities with the sunroof open. Yeah, that's why you come down sick. And you fall dead with the same thing that the vaccinated people got because they are attacking you. Don't you understand when you are under attack? I mean, at least the Palestinians, they know they are under attack. The average one of us, we don't even realize you are actually being attacked by the same people who are attacking the Palestinians. The same pilots that are flying deadly munitions over Gaza, the same pilots on another assignment, they're the ones flying the chemtrail planes over your house. That's my house. I'm upset about that. How about you? How come you're not upset about it? I'm upset about people dumping deadly weapons over my house. That's my house. That's my rooftop. And that's a chemtrail right over my house. That means somebody's trying to kill me. And I don't like that. And we need to put a stop to it. And we found out who it was. It's the Pentagon. It's DARPA, the Defense Agency for Advanced Research. DARPA, that's the ones that's doing it. They're committing genocide against the American people. Now, technically, you couldn't call it genocide because it's really called democide. When a government attacks its own people, that's called democide. But what's the difference? It's a distinction without a difference. You're just as dead, whether it was democide or genocide, and you're dead because you're not paying attention and you're not doing anything about it. You're taking life for granted. Next image, please. You think today is just like yesterday. Here's another day. Look at that. And there at the bottom you see nanoelectronics, graphene oxide, nanolipid particles. Well, what that's all about? Well, that is to increase the electronic conductivity of the atmosphere. That's what the chemtrails themselves are doing. But then you inhale smart dust. You inhale nanoelectronics. You inhale it into your body. And of course, it could have been injected into your body when you got the shot. Now you are electronically connected to the Internet of Things. This is the real life matrix. It starts with satellites out in outer space and layer by layer all the way down to the ground. That's where the graphene oxide is, on the ground and in your body. And along the way in the stratosphere, you got drones. Then you got atmospheric drones and the chemtrails. And the smart dust. And then there's you. You can prove this for yourself. If you're vaccinated or you're around vaccinated people, check the Bluetooth signal that they give out. They're electronic. They give out a Bluetooth signal that has a signature, an address on it, so they can be tracked. Why do you think Donald Trump gave a big contract to Palantir? To track all these vaccinated people with these nanoelectronics in them. Inhaled smart dust, so they can be tracked like any other commodity. You got a tracking number. They know where you are. And through these electronics things, they can influence your physiology. They can influence your hormonal balance. They can influence your thoughts. They can influence your emotions. They can influence the beating of your heart and stop it if they want to. They can induce cancer if they want to through electronics. See, don't forget what the Nobel laureate Luc Montagnier said. He said that the COVID-19 agent really isn't a virus. He said it's a computer code. that can be sent like email from computer to computer. That's why the COVID-19 pandemic broke out all over the world simultaneously, because it was sent electronically. A natural epidemic doesn't happen like that. It starts in one place and then it gradually does spread all over the world, maybe, before it's over. But when it starts all over the world all at the same time, that's not natural. So Luc Montagnier said, no, it's an electronic computer code that can be sent just like email. And if you electrify the atmosphere with chemtrails and these lipid nanoparticles and smart dust and nanoelectronics and all the rest of it, now you can create a global pandemic that involves every living creature, humans, animals, and plants. That's called the Internet of Things, being controlled by Palantir. Peter Thiel's Palantir. Next image, please. We talked about that last week on the 19th element, Palantir. The surveillance system of the government to track every movement, every heartbeat, literally, every step that you take. So there's the website, trying to get it right. Health Solutions, your journey to better health begins here. So check us out. Now, the website is not working like it's supposed to. I said a lot of negative things about it. Don't get the idea that it doesn't work at all. It's just not up to the par that I want it to be up to, but you can go there and get some certain things done. It's functional to a certain level. It's just way below what I'm trying to do. It's way below what I'm trying to do. I'm actually embarrassed of the condition that it's in, but you can get some services done. And then in the future, we're just going to enhance that and make it what I really want it to be. What you see there now is not representative of what's in my mind, but that was the best that people who were helping me could do. They couldn't produce what I was trying to bring about. Next image, please. They did the best they could, and I couldn't help them any better than I could. So if you could prevent future illnesses, wouldn't you? Of course you would. That's prevention. If you could eliminate the root causes of health problems instead of chasing symptoms, wouldn't you do that? Okay, well, that's what we specialize in. So as time goes on, we're going to get better and better at delivering those services to the maximum number of people. See, I can deliver services to a handful of people right now, but a handful of people is not good enough. How many people actually need services? Buku, mucho gente. And so we have to be big enough that we can deliver services to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people all over the globe, because people need help all over the globe. So when I started out in 1986, what was my reach? It wasn't very big, just a local medical practice. Then as time went on, then the reach of the Abundant Life Clinic became bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, I was making road trips all over the country, in every city, out of the country. So I have patients all over the world, but they can't reach me. And then when I closed my office in 2020 because of COVID and to take care of my mother, hey, now they say, hey, how can we reach you? So that's what this is all about. I'm trying to be reachable again so that I can deliver the services that people so desperately need. Next image, please. So we started out as Abundant Life, now doing business as draleem.com. Now this is the research survey that we mentioned. Go there frequently, maybe weekly, bi-weekly, whatever you think is appropriate. See what your stress score is. Find out what your stress score is. You may need to do something about it if it's high. Next image, please. Protect your health. Don't be surprised by, how did I get a heart attack? Well, I didn't know I was, well, you can find out. Then you can prevent it. So this was a project that's, we had to suspend it. We were trying to create our own brand of bottled water. That's what QX Factor means. This is a special type of water that has spiritual qualities and healing properties beyond just hydration. But we suspended the project because of COVID. And then once we get a chance, this would be another project related to the 9 ministries that eventually will attract investors. You might want to invest in a water company that's going to produce some fantastic water with spiritual and healing properties. You might be interested in investing in that. And so you'll hear about it, inshallah, in the future. Next image, please. Don't we need clean water? They say if the grid goes down, in the grid failure, they say that 90% of Americans will perish within 2 years. And the major reason for their deaths will be dirty water. They won't have clean water to drink. And so they'll get waterborne diseases and die from that, like cholera, like they're dying from cholera in the Sudan right now. So there's the website again, since 1986, now doing business as dralim.com. Next image, please. So now we're looking at some current headlines now. Now I showed this headline last week as well because the astounding facts are that 1.1 million Americans, more Americans, shall we say, in addition to the ones that were already disabled, just in the last 3 months, 1.1 million Americans have become disabled. Now, why are they becoming disabled? Because they took the shot. Okay, so now they are on their way from normal health, because none of them were sick. Remember, none of the people that got the shot were actually sick. Do you remember way back when, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when they were pushing the jab campaign? None of these people were actually sick. None of them. Now they are. And not just sick, they're disabled. And in the last 3 months, you have over 1 million people who have recently become disabled. And what's going to happen in the next 3 months going forward? And after that? And how many months have to go by before you're disabled? Before you come down with some disease that takes you out of the workforce, that makes you unable to support yourself and provide for your family. Where are all these disabled people? How are they eating? Where are they living? How are they making it from day to day? How are they carrying out their daily routines? There used to be doctors in the hospital healing people. There used to be nurses in the hospital. There used to be truck drivers. There used to be warehouse workers. There used to be farmers. There used to be airline pilots. Where are they now? In their disabled state. They're somewhere wishing that they had never taken that shot. Next image, please. And who's paying the bills? See, now this is just a graphic illustration of what we just talked about. See, there was a creeping up of disability. What year is that? Since 2010 and 11. That's when the nuclear reactors went off in Japan. And the radioactivity in the environment started to slowly increase. And along with that increase in radioactivity and background radiation, you also got this steady increase in disabilities. Then what happened with the introduction of the COVID-19 shots? Then you saw a steep increase in the rate of disabilities. And now we're at the point where you're getting apparently about a third of a million. I guess if you did the math, it would be like, 300 and some thousand people becoming disabled every month, and 30 days in a month. What that means, 10,000 people a day? That's what we're looking at. 10,000 people per day are becoming disabled or are applying for disability. And then how about the people who are so disabled they can't apply for disability? What are the ones that don't even know you could apply for disability insurance or benefits? So do you see what the trends are? I said that part of prevention is knowing the trends, seeing the future trends to see where things are going. Do you see where things are going? Well, how are you going to prevent that from being you? A disabled one. Don't you have plans for the future? Wouldn't you like to inhabit Islam America after the fall of America? Well, disabled people won't be there. Next image, please. So you have to take action now. The people who are disabled now should have taken action in the past. Now it's too late for some of them. Now we showed this last week as well because along with the disability, see, part of the disabled population that we're talking about are people who are disabled because of turbo cancer. Cancer that never should have happened in the first place. Except they got the shot that had the SV40 that promotes cancers. has other factors in it that promotes cancers. And I think we have a headline that's going to show that the Pfizer specifically designed their vaccine shot to cause cancer. There's at least three different cancer-causing mechanisms built into the Pfizer shot. One destroys your nervous system. One pathway destroys your immune system. And the other pathway, I forget what it does something else, but it all ends up in cancer. And when you check out the pattern of cancers that's developing among people who got these shots, not just Pfizer, but all of them, you'll see there was a specific design and intent to produce a certain amount of certain types of cancers. It's not random. And so this is deliberate murder, isn't it? By a criminal corporation. Well, who would trust Pfizer in the first place, knowing that Pfizer is the #1 criminal corporation in the history of the world? They have paid billions of dollars in criminal fines for fraudulent research, bribing doctors, bribing government officials. But again, if you're trying to commit a big crime like global depopulation, well, I guess you would have to get the best criminal in the world to carry that out. You don't get a boy to do a man's job. Next image, please. I guess you would need a mass global criminal organization like Pfizer. So now this is the skyrocketing death rate. See, what would the theme of today's program be? The depopulation agenda unfolding. Don't you see it? People are dying like they've never died before. See, over on the left-hand side, you see, there's a normal rate of death and might be occasional spikes for different reasons. But it's coming along in a, kind of like a steady up and down motion, kind of flat line. What the expected death rate. People are born every day, people die every day. And there's a natural rate at which that takes place. We all expect to live and die. But now what happened in 2020 with the introduction of the shot? The inflection point, they call it. Now all of a sudden the death rate shoots up because it's a depopulation agenda. We were talking about a depopulation agenda in 2020. That's when the Your Immunity Project started in May of 2020. We've been talking about a depopulation agenda since May of 2020. And a lot of people still haven't caught up to the fact that you are in the midst of an accelerating depopulation agenda. And you're so caught up in it, you might be one of the victims because you're not paying attention. Next image, please. Or you're paying attention to the wrong thing. What are you paying attention to? So again, this is the turbo cancer induced by the vaccines. The vaccine cause cancer. Next image, please. That should be a crime, isn't it? Isn't that a crime? Now here's another man-made disease that threatens the future of South Africa. And I should say all of Southern Africa, not just South Africa. The same thing is true in Zimbabwe. The same thing is true in Botswana. The same thing is true in Angola. All of Southern Africa, all the way from the Congo, all the way down the southern half of Africa, South Africa's HIV crisis deepens. When we were on the World Friendship Tour, I was blessed to be a part of a delegation with the minister that we had a session with the ANC. The ANC, yeah, with Winnie Mandela and the ANC. And I had a chance to give a little presentation, and I warned them. I said, well, yeah, you're celebrating the independence of South Africa, and that's great. The ANC's victory over apartheid. I said, but you need to temper your excitement and enthusiasm because there's a lingering danger that's been left behind that's even more sinister than apartheid was. And that's HIV. Because at that time, 34% of the South African population was HIV positive. 34%. Pretty much the same thing in Zimbabwe. Pretty much the same thing all over Southern Africa. HIV positivity is through the roof. And what are they doing about it? Well, one of the things we were trying to do about it when we started the Your Immunity Project, even before the Your Immunity Project, we were shipping Paximune to South Africa. When we first developed Paximune, we weren't using it much in the United States. We were sending almost all the Paximune to South Africa trying to do something about this epidemic taking place. So again, that's why we need to build an international virtual health care platform so we can address the issues wherever they might be, even if they're in South Africa. That has something to do with us. Why shouldn't we step up? If we have a solution that helps South Africa, helps Zimbabwe. When I was the Minister of Health and Human Services, we sent interferon into Zimbabwe to help them with their HIV plague in Zimbabwe. And we were doing the same with South Africa. But without the support that is necessary, how can we continue that up? I had to raise $10,000 out of my own money to send to Zimbabwe to buy some interferon, trying to save some lives. Well, why can't all of us pitch in and do the same thing and save Africa? When in the aftermath of the Million Man March, Muammar Gaddafi promised $1 billion to the Nation of Islam. Well, when I heard that, I wrote up a whole proposal of how to eradicate AIDS in Africa. And Muammar Gaddafi would have funded it. And of course, for political reasons, I wasn't allowed to even present the proposal. So we didn't get the funding. And now you see the situation all these years later. HIV didn't go away. Over 100 million Africans have died from HIV. What are you talking about? And hundreds of millions more are in danger. And here we are over here. We have the answer to that could save every last one of those lives. But because we're so disorganized and we won't support one another with what we know, or we haven't done it, I won't say we won't do it, but we haven't done it so far, then you're looking at people whose lives will probably be extinguished in the very near future, and you and I will know that we could have done something about it. Next image, please. We actually could do something about this if we ever got our act together. Now, they don't have a fertility problem in Africa, but they certainly do have it in Europe. You see, so this is a depopulation agenda all over the world. It's not just black genocide or Palestinian genocide or Muslim genocide. No, there's a wholesale depopulation agenda all over the world. It's affecting every country. In the past, we pointed out the predictions of the Deagle research organization. They said that America's population would be reduced from 337 million, which it was at 2017, and by 2025 it will be down to 69 million. Well, last time I checked, it's 2025 right now. So was Deagle wrong, or are we on the way to a steep population reduction down to 69 million? In the United Kingdom, Deagle said their population would be down to 16 million. And all over Europe, 70% declines in population. In other parts of the world, 60, 70% decline in population. Now in Africa and China and other parts of Asia, there was no population decline predicted. But in Europe, in America, oh yeah. Australia, New Zealand, Israel, yeah. Total wipeout. Next image, please. So that's what the panic is about in Europe. See, that's what the panic is behind the scenes in America. The demographics are changing. The white world is imploding. This is the looming extinction of the white race that was predicted by Lyndon LaRouche more than 30 years ago. Lyndon LaRouche said that the white race needed to get along better with the other non-white people because they were facing imminent extinction due to natural causes. And he was right. But they didn't listen to him. And so now they're dying out. Just as Elon Musk is saying, Europe could die out. From the looks of it, in another generation or two, Europe will no longer exist. The people that we call Europeans, European, Caucasian, white people, they will not exist. Their birth rate is so low, they are below replacement value. That means they gradually are going to die out. And then the ones that could reproduce, they don't want to reproduce. They have men that don't want to be fathers. They have men that want to marry other men. They have women, they don't want to be mothers. Or wives, they want to marry other women. Or they want to live a single lifestyle that does not include children. So they engage in abortions. They engage in contraception. They engage in everything that is against life. And so now what do you think the consequences are of doing everything in your imagination that is contrary to the principle of life? Well, you go extinct. That's what happens to you. When you adopt a lifestyle like that glorifies homosexuality, that glorifies abortion, that glorifies contraception, glorifies sexual promiscuity, what's the end result of that? You go extinct. Go check out Sodom and Gomorrah. That'll tell you the story. Next image, please. So Europe is dying out. Israel's dying out. New Zealand is dying out. Australia's dying out. Japan is dying out. These populations will no longer exist. America is dying out. Canada is dying out. These populations will no longer exist. Now, we reported last week there was a gain of function where they made a chimeric new bird flu that is able to infect human beings. They said all mammals, not just human beings, all mammals, even though it's a bird flu. And birds are not mammals. But now, wouldn't you know it, a week later, there's an outbreak of this strange new bird flu in Canada and India. At the same time that Trump is waging tariff war against both Canada and India, he's threatening Canada. He's going to invade Canada. He wants to take over the Alberta province in Canada because they have a lot of oil. And he wants to connect through Alberta with Alaska. Then he's threatening India with 50% tariffs. You see, and at the same time, these two countries are reporting a bird flu outbreak. I'm not saying there's a connection, but it might be. Next image, please. If it's total war, then biological war would be a part of financial war or economic war. Look at this, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. Why don't they say the Center for Disease Cure? Because they control people with disease. So the CDC warns of disease outbreak in 5 nations as China revives COVID-era control measures. So is China being attacked biologically like they were in 2019? Don't you remember that it was the Pentagon that was flying drones over China, spreading the swine flu that killed all the pigs in China? That was in 2019. Then some more mysterious drones were flying over China, spreading bird flu and killed all of the chickens in China. Somebody was attacking the food supply in China in 2019. Then the reply came from China out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology with what Trump called the China virus. And the China virus devastated Italy and England and France. Then it ended up in New York City and soon after that spread all over the country. And Trump was calling it the China virus because it was actually a retaliation for a biological attack against China in 2019 by the United States. Don't forget that the United States Pentagon and DARPA built 46 biological weapons laboratories in Ukraine. They were using biological weapons against Russia back in 2019. They still have those biological weapons research labs in Ukraine. Where are all these new viruses coming from? These new diseases coming from? These new pandemics coming from? How does the CDC know that 5 countries have a new outbreak of a new kind of a virus called the chikungunya virus? Where did that come from? Next image, please. Are these people still doing gain of function research? Is this biological warfare? Look at this. The CDC has a travel advisory. Traveling to some destinations may put you at higher risk for mosquito-borne diseases like dengue fever, chikungunya, malaria, and yellow fever. I didn't know they had a World Mosquito Day. I did know that Bill Gates released hundreds of millions of mosquitoes into the environment in Brazil. I do know that. I know they released disease-carrying mosquitoes in Florida. I know that. But I didn't know they had a World Mosquito Day. That's a new one. That's a new one. Now, dengue fever, in case you don't know it, has been a biological weapon. It's one of the first biological weapons developed by the Pentagon. It was first used against Cuba decades ago. I'm talking about 30 years ago. They were attacking Cuba with dengue fever. They were flying planes over Cuba, dropping dengue fever virus all over the place, trying to kill the Cuban people. That's why the Cubans had to develop their biotechnology sector to produce their own vaccines to protect themselves against biological attacks from America. Now, chikungunya is one of the gain-of-function viruses that we were talking about last week and the week before. Don't you remember Anthony Fauci said that there was no gain-of-function research? Well, then where did this chimeric virus come from all of a sudden? Because they was being funded by NIH. Now, malaria is nothing new. I can't claim that malaria is a biological weapon. But the fact that you don't develop infrastructure in Africa and other places means that malaria can flourish. And malaria is not trivial. Do you know every year in Africa there's 100 million cases of malaria that puts people down for weeks at a time? And sometimes in Africa, because you don't have a lot of medical infrastructure, when one person in the family is down, hey, the whole family is involved. The whole family's down. And that cuts down on productivity in a collective manner out of Africa. So 100 million people come down with a case of malaria. Malaria has a 5% mortality rate. So that means out of that 100 million cases of malaria in Africa, 5 million people die. 5 million people die every year from malaria in Africa alone. And not to mention yellow fever, which used to be very common here in the United States. And then it was eradicated by Walter Reed and others, but it still rages in certain parts of Africa. So again, we live in a dangerous world, and your immunity is under threat at all times. And so you need to take these CDC travel advisories seriously and take appropriate measures to protect your health as you travel. Next image, please. But weaponized mosquitoes are of great concern. Now look at Bill Gates. Why is he still walking around as a free man when he's indicted for mass murder in India and different places? They claim he's responsible for the killing of 100,000 children in India. And yet he's still walking around? He's still up to devilishment? Look at this new mischief that he's up to now. Bill Gates launching a self-assembling contraceptive implants to reduce the population. Don't tell me this is not a depopulation agenda. Every day they come up with some new device to kill people, to kill the unborn generations. So who's going to lock this monster up? Why doesn't Trump lock him up? Huh? How come the government doesn't lock him up? How come the FBI doesn't lock him up? Huh? How come law enforcement doesn't lock him up? How come the county sheriff where he lives doesn't lock him up? Huh? How come the citizens don't rise up against him because he's killing your babies? He's killing you. He's killing your relatives. He's killing off the population of the earth. How come you don't rise up against him? How does he get to walk around and do all the wicked things that he's doing and get away with it and keep living? Well, people who won't fight for their life, maybe you don't deserve to be alive. When you let a murderer run on the loose like this, a madman like this, killing people, psychopathic mass murderer, and you let him run around and do what he wants to do and spend his money, and you support his businesses and buy his stock. See, we could say, what's wrong with him? But on the same token, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me that we allow psychomaniac lunatics, mass murderers on the loose, and we don't put a stop to them? Next image, please. He's obviously guilty. I mean, I wouldn't say he shouldn't get a trial. to bring out all the nasty details so you know really how guilty he is. Just the stuff we already know about is enough to condemn him before a firing squad. So now this is a detailed study. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but basically now the scientists are, they're getting their act together. They're taking a look at all the data to see what really happened. Remember I mentioned that the Chinese virus first hit Italy? Remember, we had a 10% mortality rate. Remember that? Okay, so now they're finally catching up. They're taking a look and see what really happened. And what they're finding out is what really happened was terrible. They took a devastating hit with COVID that came directly from China. Next image, please. In retaliation, don't forget that. China was actually acting in self-defense. America attacked China first with the swine flu and bird flu. So China was just acting in self-defense. You can't blame the Chinese for acting in self-defense. America shouldn't have attacked them in the first place. Just like America shouldn't be attacking you. See, so nobody could blame you if you fought back in self-defense against DARPA and the Pentagon for trying to kill you. Who could blame you for trying to protect your own life? For not willing to be slaughtered like a sheep in a slaughterhouse? Who could blame you? Now this is taking a look at the study, and they looked at 245,000 vaccinated people. And so this was the study, I believe, that showed the pattern of cancers was deliberate. It's not random. It's not like you can get any type of cancer. No. There were special types of cancer that were specifically designed into these different batches of the vaccine. So now if you want to read the detailed study, I don't think I posted it yet on my Telegram, but I'll post it later today. So if you want to read the details, because maybe you're faced with cancer right now. See, this may not be of interest to somebody say, well, what does this have to do with me? But how many of you out there already have cancer? You're battling cancer right now, some of you. And maybe you got it from the shot. Or even if you didn't get the shot, you got it from vaccinated people who breathed cancer into you. See, when we show you these statistics of an accelerating death rate, it's due to something. It's not just happening by itself. That's not natural. And so these are the weapons that have been deployed to bring about depopulation. And it causes cancer. And cancer kills you. Next image, please.
France's planned recognition of Palestinian state. What's the broader impact there of the U.S.?
Next image, please. And somebody should mute something.
So the U.S. is essentially always an opposition. It doesn't matter which administration.
Can we kill that sound? Okay, thank you. Now here's another massive study going in another direction, looking at SSRIs. Those are the antidepressant drugs that are behind all of these mass shootings. Almost everybody that has committed, these kinds of mass shooting events like we've recently seen. Go back, please. They've all been on these SSRIs. So that's selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That's what SSRI stands for. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And this is used to treat depression and other mental conditions, bipolar conditions. And of course, as most medications are, it's overprescribed. And it's doubtful if it was ever properly studied to see if it's even safe. But the most disturbing thing about SSRIs is that they are associated with homicidal and suicidal behavior. Now, among a special population, the so-called transgenders, see, these are people who have a very deep mental disorder. So this is a man who wants to be a woman or a woman that wants to be a man, total dissatisfaction with their self, total rejection of their true identity as a biological man or a biological woman. I mean, like this is about the most deranged mental situation that you could ever be in. A man is willing to cut off his genitals to be a woman? What would you have to do to a man's mind to make him willing to cut off his genitals? Or the same with a woman, make her get her in the state of mind that she thinks she should cut off her breasts, or somehow manufacture an artificial penis for herself because she's a man disguised as a woman, or some kind of crazy foolishness like that. Well, obviously these people have mental disorders, and so a high percentage of these people are on psychiatric drugs like SSRIs. And because of their gender confusion and confusion about life, and then when they wake up, when a man wakes up and finds out that he cut his thing off, you talk about some depression? That's some deep depression there, baby. I'm telling you, that would be some deep depression. A woman wake up, realize she was been brainwashed into turning herself into a man with hormones and surgery, and all of a sudden wake up and realize that she missed out her opportunity to be a wife, to be a mother, to find true fulfillment in her feminine nature. And then she done something to herself. Well, obviously these people get angry. Who told me to do this? Who advised me to do this? Where's the doctor that told me I could do this? Where's the counselor? Where's the psychiatrist? Who's the one that put me on all these drugs? Who got me all messed up? And they go crazy. They go berserk. And then because they're under the influence of these selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, then they go and murder a whole classroom full of children. Or they go murder the whole family. And then commit suicide and leave a suicide note. It's so familiar, isn't it? Next image, please. And the common thread through all of them is that they're taking these psychiatric medications. So I think that they need to indict some of the psychiatrists and healthcare workers who are putting these troubled people on these dangerous medications. Not to mention the fact that they need to take these medications off the market. But look what would happen if that happened. Probably a fifth of the entire American population is on SSRIs. 1 out of 5 people are taking deadly drugs that could turn them into homicidal mass killers. 1/5 of the population. What would that be, like 60, 70 million people? And guess what's getting ready to happen? See, maybe my wish will come true. See, if I wish for the health of people and for the safety of people, that these dangerous drugs that promote mass killings be taken off the market, guess what? They're getting ready to be taken off the market. Don't forget, all these medications are made in China and India. They're made in China and India. And what did Trump just do with China and India? He put tariff wars against both of them. He's called both of them enemies of the United States. And so in retaliation, China's going to cut off the supply of SSRIs to 1/5 of the American population, and they're going to go berserk. See, we're talking about a depopulation agenda. We're talking about total war. So if you have 1/5 of the American population who are so messed up in the head that they have to be put on these SSRIs, it means they themselves become ticking time bombs in the population. They could go berserk at any moment. The minute their supply of drugs runs out, they could go berserk and shoot up the whole workplace, shoot up the whole hotel, shoot up the bus, shoot up the subway train, shoot up the airplane, go berserk in the airport, go berserk in the marketplace, in the mall, in the movie house. Because China cut them off from their drugs because Trump declared tariff war against China and India, where they get their supply from. I mean, I guess Trump is against war, against drugs, right? He declared a drug war against Maduro in Venezuela, sent warships down there to Venezuela to invade Venezuela. I'm sure that doesn't have anything to do with the oil. I'm sure it's all about the drugs. I'm sure. And you're sure too. Next image, please. It doesn't have nothing to do with that oil or the gold that they found in Venezuela. It doesn't have anything to do with that. They're trying to interdict drugs. So now this is a good question, not just for this whistleblower. See, this is somebody that was on the inside of the industry, who was coerced into getting the vaccine, suffered vaccine injury, tried to get some satisfaction from the VAERS system, and nothing worked out. And now this whistleblower is bringing a lawsuit, against certain people who she feels is responsible for injuring her. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her. I'm glad she's doing that. But the question remains, where's the outrage? See, here's a whistleblower who seems to be outraged at the mistreatment that she received. But you received the same mistreatment. Where's your outrage? How come you're not mad? How come you're not mad that 1.1 million Americans are deliberately being disabled every 3 months? How come you're not mad that millions of Americans have already been killed? People in your family have already been killed. How come you're not outraged? You're not outraged over all the people in your church, all the people that used to be alive in your mosque or in your civic club or in your neighborhood or used to go to school with you, used to be your friends, all of them dead now or disabled. How come you're not outraged now that you know that it's your own government through the Department of Defense, through DARPA, that is actually attacking you, that they deliberately built 46 bioweapons laboratories in Ukraine that they said they were going to use against the Russians, but in fact they're using it against you. So here's a whistleblower who has sense enough to be outraged. I guess you can detect a little outrage in my voice. But how about you? Where's your outrage that Trump introduced a dangerous vaccine at warp speed with no testing, no research, no investigation as to its safety or its effectiveness, and propagandized the entire American population? And Joe Biden come in and he says his job was to get 100 million jabs and 100 million arms. And was he successful? Had a little accident here, trying to get set back up. Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. Getting a little excited here. So where's your outrage? See, I got so outrageous, I knocked my camera over. What did you knock over in your outrage? Anything? Next image, please. That might be the last one. Oh, no. Here's the good news. Intellectual power. We did the research for Risa Islam's intellectual power supplement. It's a brain supplement to boost your brain and your body. We found out not only does it boost brain function, it also improves your immune function. So the two of them together makes you a much healthier, much more potent individual. So we're going to be featuring intellectual power on the new website. It's not there yet. So I'm giving you prior notice that people have been asking me, where can I get the intellectual power? How can I get it? Okay, well, soon will be available on draleem.com. And we'll be going over some of the benefits that you receive by using it. So I use it myself. I very rarely use any supplement. I mean, I generally am healthy, so I don't need to take a lot of things. But I found out that it does improve my memory. Now, people say, well, Dr. Aleem, you already have a good memory. I know, I already did have a good memory, but now my memory's better. And the difference is, see, I used to be able to remember things, in a very good way. But now when I have a memory, when I'm taking the intellectual power, it's almost like I have a zoom in my head, like I can zoom in on the memory and I can see all the details instead of just a vague, memory. Now I can actually get in and see the details and remember people's names and remember things that happened and the little things that were in the environment. It's almost like a 3-dimensional memory now instead of just a flat screen with a vague image on it. So that's what it's done for me. So it's made my good memory better. And I suppose if you have a poor memory, it would improve it as well. So look for intellectual power in the near future with dralim.com. Next image, please. And this is a reminder. We didn't quite get to our subject last Sunday. Last Sunday happened to be my 57th anniversary in the Nation of Islam. So I ended up talking about that and all kinds of things related to that. And we didn't really get into the labor of love, which is the labor of the hereafter. It's a labor of love. And so you have to be well practiced in the labor of love before you get there. You're not going to be a hater and learn how to love after you get to the hereafter. No. A hereafter, a hater is not even going to get to the hereafter. You're not even going to see the hereafter if you're a hater. So it's a labor of love in the hereafter. So you have to begin your labor of love in the here and now. That way you'll be qualified in the hereafter to begin the labor of building heaven on earth while we live. So we didn't quite get into the details of what that was all about this past Sunday, but look for us next Sunday. I'm scheduled at 9 a.m. with prayer and fasting every Sunday, and the subject will be the labor of the hereafter, and it's a labor of love. So get practice in your compassion and mercy and love and beneficence for one another, so that you will gain entrance into paradise. Next image, please. That might have been the last one. I keep saying that. And then we'll open up for questions. I guess we may have people live in the audience on Zoom. We may have people on Facebook. We don't have anybody on YouTube right now. I'm videotaping it, and it'll be posted later. If you are looking at the rebroadcast, then you missed out on your opportunity to ask questions. Next time, tune in live at 3 p.m. on Zoom or Facebook, so you can get your questions in. So, Sister Cheryl, do we have any questions from our Zoom audience?
Yes, sir. It looks like there are two questions. The first question is from iPhone. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Aline. What are your thoughts about ozonation of water? Is ozonated water safe to drink and cook with? There has been a lot of talk about Lewy body dementia with the death of Robin Williams, David Gergen more recently, and the mental decline of Bruce Willis. Do you feel cases are increasing? What are your thoughts?
Well, the first part of the question about the ozonization of water, yes, I'm in favor of that. I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I showed you my ozone generator. And so I use an ozone generator in my house every day. What does ozone do? It's a disinfectant. It clears the atmosphere of any type of biological entity, a virus, a fungus, mold spores, bacteria, anything that's in the atmosphere that could harm you of a biological nature will be killed by the ozone. What is ozone? Ozone is a form of oxygen. Normal oxygen is O2. Ozone is O3. So we're all familiar with ozone because anytime you've been in a thunderstorm and you have lightning, that lightning flash creates ozone. And so that's that fresh smell that you get after a thunderstorm. That's the smell of ozone. So you can buy ozone generators of various sizes for your home or office or your business establishment, and that will purify the air and keep it safe. So that's part of my internal air purification survival plan. Whenever the air is bad outside, which is almost every day, I'm running my ozone generator for a few minutes every day. Now, you don't have to run it for a few minutes. Ozone in high enough dose can irritate your lungs and cause a problem. But in very low doses, it's very beneficial. So essentially, you run an ozone generator until you can just, kind of barely get that ozone smell. Smells like a thunderstorm. And that's a sufficient dosage to purify any air. Now, some ozone generators are for the ozonization of water. Again, to purify the water, to kill bacteria or anything that might be in the water that could cause a problem. So again, it's a very valuable piece of equipment, not too expensive. You can buy it on Amazon, almost anywhere, to keep your environment pure. Especially if you have a damp basement or any type of moisture problem in your house, which makes you prone to mold infestation. Well, an ozone generator will actually help with that problem.
Okay.
Now, the second part of the question was about people having strokes and steep cognitive decline. Well, we saw that whole story unfold with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We saw Joe Biden get the shot and 6 boosters, and we saw what happened after that. We saw what happened to Kamala Harris after she took the shot. So that was on, that was on mainstream news. So if Bruce Willis and other people did the same thing that Joe Biden did, if you did the same thing that Joe Biden did, you got the shot in the boosters, well, that's what's happening to you. You're going to have a steep cognitive decline. You're going to have a stroke or a heart attack or some neurological catastrophe. That's what the shot does. The article that I showed, I didn't go into the details, where it shows that the DNA plasmids in the Pfizer shot and the other shots absolutely integrate themselves into the human genome. And of course, what that means is integrating cancer-causing genes into your cells. So when that happens, sure, you're going to have a sudden medical emergency. You're going to die on stage. You're going to die on the playing field. It has nothing to do with how big your muscles are or anything like that. No, you have been genetically damaged by a gene therapy, by a biological weapon. You have become a victim of the depopulation agenda. And that's what this whole broadcast is all about, trying to prevent you from becoming a victim of a depopulation agenda simply because you didn't know what was going on, that you weren't paying attention. So you didn't take precautions. And so you got caught up in something that cost you your life or cost you your health. So thanks for those questions. So get your ozone generator. It's very useful.
Okay, Dr. Lean, the second question is, Assalamu alaikum. Are we under attack using computers and AI while computer sits on the desk? Your knees stiffening up, and used to disable the legs. You must use your senses to help you recognize it.
Well, again, I'm glad to hear people are finally waking up to the obvious. See, that statement or question started out, we're under attack. Okay, I'm glad you figured that out. I'm glad that you actually figured that out, that you are actually under attack. So maybe now you'll do something about it. So you're under attack all kinds of ways. You're talking about sitting in front of a computer. Okay, so then what do you shield? What would you use to shield yourself from what's coming out of your computer? What are you using to shield yourself from what is coming out of your cell phone? Your cell phone is attacking you.